Welcome back to FMCG by Alex. Today I would like to continue with the series FMCG from A to Z, and we covered the traditional retailer. Last week we did it with the salesman, so let's dive into the next link in the chain. Let's start with a quick recap. Last week we covered the canvas salespeople, so they visit smaller traditional stores, which is basically selling cash or with taking order, which means that they give credit. And today we flip the script, so we go basically to the side of the retail shops, the retail store owners, so the warungs, the kiosks, the mom and pop stores, etc., that keep the FMCG flowing in local communities. So, who are these retailers? So, basically, these are typically family run companies with long working hours. If you're talking about a larger retailer, so R1 stores, basically, these are more reminiscent of supermarkets, but more on the traditional side, meaning they don't have a cash register, or maybe by now they do. They have some sort of rudimentary accounting system, quite a lot of stock, maybe some serious space for products. But when you go to the R2 and R3, so R2 is actually where it goes to a side street, and R3 is really like, I have a store in front of my house. I live in a very closed area, basically, or a small complex. That's basically the classification. So these are smaller stores that actually sell more simple products. So R1 stores will basically have almost everything a supermarket has. Normally, also we'll have a chiller, we'll have a freezer. Like they might sell ice cream, they might sell frozen food, they might sell chilled beverages, etc. So R2 outlets might have it, might not, depending a little bit on the size and, of course, the capital of the owner. R3 outlets typically are like really small, selling snacks, candy, cigarettes. Especially cigarettes are very, very popular in that segment. So these are actually the classifications for the smaller stores. So if you're looking at, operating on really slim margins, so you have basically, they need to actually sell a lot, of course, to make a living, but margins are quite small. That's why also you see quite seriously, like many of these outlets are actually depending a little bit on being a side gig, a side hustle, basically for husband is working or wife is working, and then the husband or wife that isn't working actually staying home with the kids or something like that, and then they have a shop that they are operating. So they rely quite heavily on relationships with sales reps and of course, about trust. So it's very much a people business. In the end, of course, they actually want to sell things that are a high margin and b stuff that really is in demand from their customers. So if they get requests from customers, they might actually ask the sales rep, hey, can you also get this, or I have got a request from this brand or this product, basically. So that's the holy grail for us as a FMCG companies, of course, to achieve that. So as I mentioned before, the R2 and R3 outlets usually are also like side income. So basically, like you have not have zoning regulations where these shops are actually limited to a certain area. So like I'm from Europe, so you have basically commercial areas. Not everybody can open up a shop in their house. That is actually just forbidden here by law. In Indonesia, it's basically an emerging market where you can basically open up, put a counter in front of your house and say, hey, I have a shop, like a lemonade stand type of concept. Usually this is a very simple way to start, and they start with selling things that their neighbors don't have to walk all the way to the supermarket or the mini market to actually sell. So then you have basically, also automatically people with limited career options. So if you actually have gone to school, you've been educated, basically you have other options for providing an income. These are people who actually also would be in a manual labor or unskilled labor category, basically. And opening up a shop is good for people of a certain age. If you have a disability or you actually are physically just not able to anymore, like I mentioned, stay-at-home mom, basically, where they simply can't because maybe they have very young children and nobody to take care of them. These are shops also that are rotating a little bit with, okay, whatever family member is actually able to do it at that particular moment, they will sit in the shop, and usually people just are going about their business, and then when the customer comes, they will come out and serve them, basically. So this is a matter of side income in essence. So what does the day in the life of a traditional shop owner look like? So in essence, this depends very much on the size of the shop, what they're selling. So if you're selling fresh and packaged goods, basically, so fresh meaning vegetables, meat, whatever is fresh. It could also be eggs or things they call in Indonesia sembako, which is actually daily needs. Um, so in essence, you need to basically get up very early. You need to go to the traditional market that starts at very early in the morning, like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. You have the all the harvest actually from the land actually comes to this traditional market, and people are buying very early before the shop opens. Of course, they buy all their stuff. So this is wholesalers. They go there, they pick out, hand pick whatever it is that they need, and they buy it. So then they go to the dry goods wholesalers. So dry goods wholesalers also open early. You need to basically be able to pick out whatever you need. Usually, there are salespeople that visit them. So, restocking from multiple suppliers means also that there are some local wholesalers that they need to go to physically pick up the goods, and there are wholesalers that deliver, and there are also salespeople from distributors or wholesalers, or freelancers, like I mentioned last time, the canvas salespeople that come and visit you. Now, you can't only rely on people visiting you. So that's the thing that people are at this moment mixing it, where they are looking for either you can't afford to be out of stock on your most fast-moving item, so you need to have a wholesaler at hand who has it in stock, and you can actually go and get it there if you need to. So again, this is before sunrise, so this is actually very early starts. People who have basically a less urgent need to get their living. Let's say one of the one of the couple works, the other one is actually staying home. Then maybe they're just waiting for the salesman to come by and buy from them. Now they need to juggle almost everything, like so. Basically, they're cleaning the house, taking care of the kids. They need to do everything from customer service, inventory, finance, etc. They need to do all of it themselves, but most of them actually operate without actually formal training or education. So you basically barely finished high school, and or not even junior high school. Or that is the thing with Indonesia; they have junior high school. You are after that, you're no longer needing to go to school anymore after a certain age. So that is, someone who gets married early, or goes to work early without actually continuing education, or maybe the parents were simply not able to put them through school. That is the same situation. So that is something that limits really the options for these people to have another career. There are also people who have other options and just are very good at retailing, obviously. But point is basically, if you are depending on this as income, of course, meaning you can't be sick, you can't have any reason to close your shop, because a closed shop is no income. So what matters the most to traditional shop owners? In essence, this is basic sustenance. So in essence, it's cash flow. Every decision is based on what's selling and what brings in the fast returns. What is the quickest cash conversion? If you come up with a new product that is not proven, nobody has seen yet, so they are not very likely to take a big risk on it. So they might start with a couple of packs if they say, okay, this is the salesman I trust. That's why that salesman trust comes in. Or this is a company with a good offer where they say, okay, this is a big brand, but they have a new product that I need to try. So that is actually where they might, be persuaded to stock something new. This is the same across the world, by the way. If you go to a Dutch supermarket, which is a modern store, and you offer them a new product, that's also very much an uphill battle. People what is new. They don't have a feeling for it, and it takes basically a lot of luck and a good presentation in order to get any chance there. So in Indonesia, definitely that's something which it's a numbers game. There are millions of these stores, so that's why you need to just knock on doors. But of course, they want to sell what everybody sells, what is basically the demand of the customers, which is every retailer in the world has the same, modus operandi. Then a lot of them buy on credit and pay when they sell. So basically, you have to look at canvas salespeople are basically selling cash. So that is okay, cash transactions. Then you have salespeople that are taking order. So in essence, they have a credit line, but the example is that, say, I'm a salesman and I'm selling you 10 units of something, and after I come back in 2 weeks' time, there are still 8 units left. The chances that I get paid are very slim. So in essence, they will say, "Oh, just wait for another 2 weeks, and then I'll pay you because it needs to sell out at least like 70-80% of the entire stock. You will not get a reorder. You might not get paid." So that is the delay in payment. So that's, when you say like consignment is actually a dirty word in most most companies, most industries, but this is actually what it comes down to, because left way, right way around, okay, so just take it with you again, and I'll pay you for the two. You don't sell in my shop anymore. So this is more like a reality of it, reality check. So credit terms are usually about 7 to 14 days. So basically until the next visit. So I'll put this here, the next visit you pay me, and then they order again. So that is basically the point. And of course, like I mentioned, the relationship with the sales reps is actually very important. So if you see someone every week or every 2 weeks, and this person has sold you some good stuff, this is your lifeline. So you have, in essence, this brand only comes from this sales rep because you can't get it anywhere else. Now, that's basically the important thing for a sales rep, to advise you on, what to stock in your store. Problem with that is also that in some cases, sales reps also need to make a living, also very short-term minded. So, sometimes a sales rep actually might advise you to stock a lot because, I need to make my target and I need to get my incentive, basically. So, but this trust, a good sales rep and a good relationship with a sales rep is actually very important for these people, because a lot of the problems that arise, especially in Indonesia, is actually it's not so much in a contract. Contracts are nice pieces of paper which have a signature on it and some terms, but in the end, all of the problems are solved in the relationship. So that is actually more of the nature of the country. So if you go to court, it can happen, but usually it doesn't go that far. It's quite efficient in essence. Then what also is very important is, of course, product availability and, of course, shelf life. If you have come with close to expiry products, of course, you are not going to get a very good rating from them. But I mean, the thing is with product availability, meaning I have got an example I think I gave in the last video about my sister-in-law. My sister-in-law has a shop. So basically she has the problem that sometimes a salesman comes with a truck. He has a Main Street shop with a truck, and then the products that she wants to buy are not available anymore. So that also diminishes the trust in the salesman, and she needs to then, in order to be able to sell that product, she needs to wait, or she needs to go physically to another wholesaler, basically to pick it up. And for traditional stores, like I mentioned, the size is smaller. So in the end, people have low buying power. The consumers are usually your neighbors. If you're looking at an R3 store, basically, then neighbors are in the same area, low spending power, therefore smaller SKUs. You're looking at, for example, shampoo. Shampoo, instead of a big bottle, they sell small sachets, which are like one or two. Very, very careful. You can take 2 uses out of it, maybe, or 3. But single-use sachets basically are what sells better. and smaller SKUs of various products. So these are products that in Indonesia you have definitely a split between modern trade SKUs and traditional trade SKUs. Traditional trade SKUs need to be smaller in size because the maximum price was 6,000, 7,000. That was, more or less the magic price. If you are closer to 3,000 rupiah, you have an optimum price point market to the traditional trade. Um, Consumers are receptive to that. So in essence, they will accept a smaller SKU or a single serve. Hey, I need to go shower. Let me buy a few sachets of this stuff. So in the end. This is where, for example, Unilever has done quite well with these smaller sachets, and India also, apart from Indonesia, India it also is really quite successful to use these smaller SKUs. In essence, they sell better. Bigger SKUs, of course, can, but price points usually are the blocker, both from the fact that consumers cannot buy it and also the fact that you need to invest more capital to stock it. So that is the inhibiting factor. Now, pain points for traditional retail are more or less unpredictable pricing and promotion. So you have to imagine that they having multiple sources. These sources actually are people who mark up prices left and right. So if you're talking about a salesman visiting, that will always be the same price, but there might be promotions. There might be, your neighbor might have gotten a promotion that you didn't, and therefore he can sell cheaper. So that's basically the unpredictable part of it. Then inconsistent deliveries, like I mentioned, not every week the guy will bring products that you need. Some things are out of stock. Some FMCG companies have worked for some that really had supply problems where you really have an issue where fast moving items are out of stock for a prolonged period of time, or they prioritize modern trade over traditional trade because modern trade is where all these service level penalties are. That's of course for the next videos that I'm going to go into that. Service level penalties are applicable if they don't reach a certain percentage of service level to modern trade. Traditional trade is usually sacrificed in that sense to optimize this. Now, inconsistent deliveries are really the bane of traditional trade. If you don't have the products that people want, they will not visit your shop. They will just sell less. You need to be very creative to actually get the stock from various sources. That's what I mentioned. Now, lack of access to financing. So that is another no-brainer actually. But if you look at financing to buy more stock. Issue with these guys is actually that people have needs. If they don't have an accounting system, also they usually eat their working capital very easily. So they start with a shop, then family comes by, kids want to have a snack, wants to have the candy that is sold in the shop. Before you know it, you don't have anything left to sell, and your profit margins are not enough to really replenish that. So in the end, the working capital is actually eaten up literally by yourself because you needed cash. You needed cash that actually was meant or earmarked for buying new goods next week, that you need for new shoes for your kids, or your kids need books, or you need to replace something, or whatever. That is the main issue of traditional trade stores. So people with the talent for it, of course, they have this. Or more careful. That's normally where women are a little bit better than men usually, but more careful guys also can shine in that respect, even without formal education and formal bookkeeping, basically. So this is actually where you see a lot of examples. There was a program in Indonesia where every mosque, so you're talking about places of worship, where every mosque should have a mini market. So a mini market meaning a store selling various things. Now, the thing is that the Ministry of Religion was very much supporting that program. It's talking about many years ago. A lot of budget was there for supporting this, and they started it out. So they think, okay, then all mosques have a way of supporting their income. So people who the imam and people who were working in the mosque, volunteers, they were operating that store. Now the thing is that normally these pesantren, that is actually like a boarding school where a mosque is attached to, these guys were basically teaching religion rather than being businessmen. So eventually a lot of these initiatives unfortunately went the way of the dodo, extinct, because there was no business acumen inside that organization. So they would in essence use up the stock because their students needed to eat, or the imam needed to eat, so therefore you took the money, or you used the money for that. And in the end, an empty store, you won't sell anything. So that was actually the limiting factor of this sort of initiative, where it also is very important that you have people who really understand how to operate retail. Now, that's the reason also why a lot of these traditional stores are unable to be organized. This organization, difficult because not everybody is able to really work inside that organization and actually follow all the regulations that are needed to make it profitable, so to speak. Of course, they have a lot of pressure from modern trade and e-commerce. Nowadays you can order anything online, and of course modern trade is also expanding. A lot of the mini markets in Indonesia, Alfamart, Indomaret, also Family Mart is actually rising. These are admitted more high-end type of more upscale mini markets. Even though if you look at Indomaret, Alfamart, the traditional income brackets is like C1, C2 SES brackets basically. So talking about middle income. So not spectacular. While Family Mart is even like an AB, more in residential area. So if you look at more, buildings basically and offices. So if you look at traditional trade, normally traditional trade is dying, a couple of 100 meters or a couple of kilometers around a new Alfamart store or a new Indomaret store. They had a lot of flack they got from the public about opening too many stores and killing the traditional trade. It's basically one of the things that is constantly under pressure. Alfamart has a nice program called Access Move, which is actually supplying to traditional trade. So these guys are distributing directly to traditional trade and making sure all of the products are available for traditional trade as well. That used to be a CSR program, but now it's really a business. So a good friend of mine is running that. So in essence, they are also working on keeping the traditional trade alive and also the public sentiment. Then, of course, because of limited working capital, and not just because they eat it, but also just because they don't have much more to grow it, they can't stock large quantities. So in essence, they will be out of stock very quickly, and they might not have the capital for it, but also might not have the space. If you have a very small store, it's not made of elastic. You can't stock a huge buffer of something, even if you have the capital. So that's the pain points of traditional trade. So how can we, as the brand owners and distributors, how can we earn that trust? So you have to offer stable pricing, consistent visit by distributors. So in essence, you need to be able to secure that you are a good partner for them, meaning you are honest with regards to the pricing. You can offer them something that is predictable, and you make sure that you come in time to actually replenish the product. Then to help you yourself, in essence, with regards to brand visibility, you need to get POS material, signage, etc. in the stores. Usually that also helps a little bit to make the store look nicer. So if you are making that into a win-win situation where you say, look, I am going to give you a new rack or a new display or a new new something, that store owners are really very keen on improving their store, and it happens to have your logo on it. Now, that's usually something they want to use. So that is actually something that can even go to a T-shirt or a polo or a jacket. Usually, salespeople are given motorcycle jackets or helmets by with the logo on it by the principal. Now, similarly, sales in stores actually can be boosted by giving this to store owners, store staff, actually to give something, present, and it's a token of appreciation. So that is more like the trust you win through, it's in essence bribing people. But I mean, a gift is always a nice thing. It doesn't have to be seen as a bribe. So, and of course, you need to make sure that you make it as easy as possible for them to provide credit terms. So you need to be able to make sure that their working capital is healthy, quick replenishment, so don't block them when the money is stuck, basically. So this is usually the tug of war between brand owners and distributors. Distributors are trying to limit risk, while brand owners want to just have more distribution. Distributors are very, very careful, of course, with regards to stores that suddenly don't pay their bills and they stop delivery for a while. So now that is also something that can really damage the relationship. So the store is good. It's just that there is, a problem with the payment or temporary problem. It can be a structural problem. Then distributors will just cut them off, and yeah, that is also a matter of trust is gone. Both ways. So you need to, of course, really go down there and listen to them. So what I've done many, many times in my career is just go to rural areas and talk to traditional store owners. So it's always fun for people to get someone from the head office to visit, especially if you come from another country. They said, "Oh, you come all the way from the Netherlands to sell me milk." Now, when I was working for Ultra Milk, that was actually always a funny joke we would hear, like, "Oh, you come to sell me milk. You come all the way from the Netherlands." I said, "Oh, yeah, like the cow at the string on the string to bring with me on the plane or something like that." But um, then this is actually where they are really happy that you give them the attention, like you say, I come here to listen to you. I want to know how you experience selling our product. What can we do to help you? What kind of tips and feedback do you have for us? Now that is something where you can only win in essence in order to by understanding your customers better than your competition. Now, if your competition doesn't do what you do, you at least go to retailers and see how are your salespeople selling to the retailers. So that is the previous video. This video is actually the retailer perspective. So, okay, how are our salespeople? What could our salespeople do different? How could we do this in the stores? This is more a holistic approach where you are going at the basics of listening for feedback to feedback, basically, and implementing that into your operations, basically. And of course, everybody loves a discount, so a discount once in a while, just to keep things interesting for them, is just also something. When you visit, you always give them something free. You give them some sort of discount. You give them something, basically. So just to remember you. Look, I don't come empty-handed. When you come and visit someone, you bring something, you bring a gift. No, that's the gist of it. So to summarize this, traditional retailers are really the bread and butter for companies in Indonesia. If you have a product range that is at least aimed at traditional trade. So normally companies have either modern trade products, imported products normally are modern trade products, and you have smaller SKUs or GT, general trade, or TT, traditional trade focused SKUs. Now, these people are entrepreneurs. They take the risk to stock your product. So they are actually very critical players. They can be 70-80% of your sales in essence if you are doing it right. And you need to look at them as partners. You need to basically take them serious and cater to their needs as well. So we need to grow with them. That is my final thought that I would like to share with you. If you have a brand that needs to grow in traditional trade, I'm here, Alex at devriessalesconsultancy.com. I'm a consultant. I can help you set up distribution, link you to distributors, wholesalers, create your entire go-to-market strategy, and how to manage your sales team. Now, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And I hope to see you in the next video. The next video in this series will be FMCG from A to Z, And next time we are going to look at modern trade. Thank you.